best of the local hopes, while the Brisbane Cup winner, Flying Zulu, for trainer Jason Thompson, is a serious draw card for a trainer who's won 2 of the last 5 editions of the Hobart 1000. The weekend of racing finishes off with a quality harness card in Hobart on Sunday night, featuring the 3-year-old Fillies Championship, Tasmanian Guineas and Torres Flying Mile.
Tassie, the perfect place to race this summer. Head to tasracing.com.au for everything you need to help find the winners.
On RSN Racing and Sport, it's time for the grey areas with Jason Adams and George Ferrugia.
The kid was a human dynamo.
Are you sure you're talking about George?
George of the jungle, friend to you and me.
Midday Wednesday here on RSN 927. It's time for Grey Areas, reviewing what was an amazing night of racing at Sandown on Saturday with the running of the 2024 Melbourne Cup. We'll get to that soon. There's a lot of Phoenix news around. There's a lot of news around Silver Chief, Laurels, Hobart 1000. There's a stack on this week. And, of course, joined by Georgie Ferrugia, as always, the human dynamo himself.
How are you, mate?
I'm well, mate. I've had a haircut. Bit more aerodynamic.
I had a shave too because I was a little bit sort of uncouth last week, mate.
You do look a bit sharper.
Yeah, a bit sharper today, mate. But are we going to talk about the biggest news in greyhound racing right off the bat? And that is my man Smooth Plane is in the Phoenix.
Yes, Australian bloodstock.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we can speak about it off the top.
495 early, by the way, last week.
Is that a fluke or is that him?
I'm going with it. I'm running with it.
Will he do it? Will he do it in the Phoenix?
Probably needs to run something like that. Love to see him in there. Fantastic.
Yeah. And I think the first runner for Team Daly in a Phoenix as well, from memory.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible. Okay, big week it was. Obviously, all that Phoenix news we'll touch about shortly. But before we look forward, we're going to look back at what was a big night of racing at Sandown on Saturday with the Melbourne Cup run and won by Explicit. And it's hard not to feel like he's deserved this, George. It was hard work for him. I mean, it was a hustle and bustle. He somehow pulled out a Houdini-like performance to somehow almost run through Sunset Fraser. But once he found the top, it was game over.
Incredible. And I really wanted to highlight Luke Thompson's speech when he was speaking to you after. I thought he was fantastic. He was so composed. And you know what he did? He sort of touched on things that we've spoken about in this very studio, Jace. How... and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. After he won the Temlee, he was just over 2 years of age, and he said, I think everyone expected him just to sort of take the greyhound racing world by storm. Not that he ever was out of form, the greyhound, but then Luke said something that we've been touching on. We really wanted him to win a big Group 1. Because then I think the ability matches the CV. He sort of needed one of these, and he did it. So I think it was a fantastic result. It was fitting for a greyhound of his ability. We've spoken about at length how he started favoured in 3 big Group 1s, Jace, and didn't get the job done, so it was kind of fitting that he won the race. I know there's commentary around, he was lucky. Yeah, there was an ounce of luck on that first corner, but he was there ready to pounce. I had a look at the slow-mo too, Jace. He was, again, this is the fly in the ointment of the greyhound. He was one of the worst to begin. And then he just accelerated and went away. So I thought it was a really fitting victory. And the other thing, too, about when people talk about luck, it's not just the Melbourne Cup itself, Jace. You have to get there first. And I thought his heat win was outstanding.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to hear, he was lucky to win it. He deserved to win that Melbourne Cup. Now the news is his Phoenix will be his last run. Could be a greyhound that closes in on nearly $2 million in prize money. I just think it was a great result.
Yeah, it was. So I think you spoke about it a few months ago, how given the ability and what we expect from him and the labels that the Thompson camp put on him, to justify all that, he'd have to win over $1 million. So now he's, I think, about $15,000 off that. So if he was to win the Phoenix, he goes to $2 million and he goes down as one of the better sprinters we've seen.
And if he doesn't win the Phoenix, he still cracks the $1 million mark. Look, I think why I bring up the box manners, Jace, is because if he actually pinged the lids like a Fernando Bale, he would run Fernando Bale splits. I mean, he still went 505 and missed the kick. Greyhounds don't tend to do that. Sunset Fraser was the same in the race. He didn't begin all that well, and then their acceleration, those two greyhounds, are as elite as we can get. And we've seen that with Sunset Fraser breaking the sectional record the week before. So I just think it was a fitting result for Explicit after some races where he was unplaced in some big races. And Jason Thompson spoke about how he was happy with the draw. And look, after about 20 metres, it looked dicey from where he was, but he just exploded when it mattered.
You mentioned the Phoenix is going to be his last run before retirement and transitioning to stud services. It's sort of against the grain, isn't it, in recent years, where we've discussed here on this show how the lucrative prize money that is around can sometimes outweigh the stud value. Is it a bit different in his case?
Possibly because his sire Bernardo is going to be 10 years old next year. So maybe that's in the back of their mind as well, where let's get a head start with, one of his fastest sons. So maybe that's playing into their mind. You're right, though, because the Australian Cup's only essentially 2 or 3 months away. He would be a TEM lead to go, chance to go back to back. But maybe the door's being knocked down that hard from breeders where they just say, we want to use him, and he might be getting close to full book. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out.
All right, for anyone looking to get involved here on Grey Areas, feel free to text in 0416 90 50 52. That's 0416 90 50 52. Georgie Tom's going to get away from us very quickly today. Bold Trees Ethanol Water, she was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Sat behind Kenya All Class and was just too powerful on the line. And we spoke about it on the Friday, Jace, that she just looked like she was starting to come back into that form where she recorded her PB there of around 41.6. So it was a terrific effort. Kenya All Class just got a little bit tired at the end. He went 42 seconds. They'd be disappointed with that. But look, Greyhound's already won a Group 1. We've got to remember that he's only had about 4 or 5 starts over 700 metres. So Sal Cup is looming.
And the other group race on the night was the John Dillon Memorial, won by Tim Zhu, and that's probably the best 600-metre debut I've ever seen.
8.99 early, bustled his way through and just went bang. I think both of us tipped him to win. We thought he'd win. Did you think he was going to win like that? Well, I thought he could break 34. I thought he was going to win with ethanol volume came out because he was going to make the race for him. Yeah.
In the end, he was scratched. But still, it made no difference. It would have had no impact on the race.
No. First 5.95 and runs 33.66. Incredible.
Yep, indeed. So that were the group races on Cup Night. Of course, Cup Night Stayers, which was won by Wild Cash. He was very good. The Cup Night Sprint, Smooth Plane. And, of course, the other features on the night being the Vic Grays, won by Gambella. And then the maiden final by Nell DeVere.
Yeah, good speed, both of those greyhounds, and I think they both feature in the Laurels heats this Thursday night.
Indeed. Let's move on to those Laurels heats, George. I mean, the depth annually for the Laurels is nowhere near what it is for the Silver Chief, but the top end, we've got some good quality, and they're not Victorians, with Miss Envy and also La Sagrada for Steve Shinners, both drawn box 1, both look extremely hard to beat.
Yeah, credit to Steve for staying an extra week to race these greyhounds, because it certainly adds to the series. Miss Envy drawing box 1, $1.55 favourite, no surprise there. The other greyhound, La Sagrada, has gone $29.40 at Whitworth Park, so she's certainly no slouch either. WA form is good too, so she'll start odds-on favourite as well. So yeah, look, it could be a real quality final if we get what we expect to get through to it.
Just got a text in before we get to the 5th race at Sale from Tim from Kilsyth. There's a couple of quick ones for you, Georgie. How good was it to see my favourite little champ, Timmy Zhu, back on the winners list? And when it comes to group races, there's Big Energy, sleep of the light on.
I think that's a bit harsh about Big Energy. I thought his Melbourne Cup run last year was very, very good, and he was just drawn really poorly. About Tim Zhu, rapt to see him win like that over 600 metres. I mean, there's some nice races coming up, including the Rookie Rebel in February, and you do not want to see Tim Zhu in that race. 8.99 early, Jace, at Sandown, as you know, is electric. That's an 8.85 run early at the Meadows, and if he's doing that and running 34.10, how are they going to beat him? So it was good to see him draw a good box and get a little bit of luck, but he was so dominant in that race.
Yeah, and of course, from Big Energy's point of view, it's just so hard to continue the form he had in the depth of race that he was in on Saturday night. So he, of course, goes towards the Phoenix now, representing Sportsbet, as was announced last Friday. And they had a text message in, why didn't RSN and Hoss get a Phoenix slot this year? I think that's got something to do with John Henry's salary.
Yes, I think
Sorry,
so.
was that sorry?
Why didn't RSN get a Phoenix slot this year, John? Did it have something to do with your salary?
My salary? I thought you said celery.
Well,
I thought someone
Some
said
carrots as
salad.
well.
I thought, oh, there's a salad going around.
yeah, it's a shame we don't have a slot this year. We had Big Energy last
Yeah,
year.
it's a
Big
shame.
Energy has a crack again this year, but no, it is what it is. But look, it's really shaping up to be a good field, and there's going to be some announcements soon, Jason. I don't think we can say too much more, but I think by the end of the week we might know a little bit more about the structure of this final field.
Yep, happy to say more about that after this race at Sale. Before we get to that, of course, George, the Laurels at Sandown tomorrow night is focused around the age-restricted girls. The Silver Chief Heats at the Meadows is Saturday, focused around the age-restricted boys. There's currently 42 nominations for that, and of the biggest names a part of it, we're looking at Field Day, Epitomise. They're the two that jump out in front of me as I flick through the nominations. But it's always a series of great depth, and it sets up careers.
Yeah, this year, we'll get about 6 heats, 6 or 7 perhaps. So, yeah, be interesting to see. Obviously, some of the greyhounds that we've seen over the last couple of weeks we'll go through. Obviously, you have to be 2.5 years and under. So, yeah, looking forward to that series. We'll touch on that in depth on Friday's show.
That we will. John Henry, the 5th at Sales coming up, and our man Jimmy Vandermart's there on track.
Yeah, and there's been a bit. The favourite is number 5, Ayla Rose out of yellow, but there's been a bit of a go. $14 into $8 for Temper Trap out of the 3. Here's James.
Down the bottom, Bandari's a good beginner. So is Woodside Cruiser. They're right down the bottom, and Jenna's been jumping well of late too. So there might be a bit of pace out wide. They're $4.80 Bandari, $21 for Woodside Cruiser, and $18 for Jenna. Starting Signal. The only probably slow beginner in the race is Springview Noah, and he's off the inside draw. So they're moving in. Pretty keenly contested market for the 5th, leg 1 of the quaddie. Favourites to bounce in 5. Ayla Rose has been the best back runner, and they're set for race 5 out of Sale. Stand by for a start now. They're set. And they're racing a pretty even line away. Away quickly, Ashley Hook near the inside. Going out fast, Ayla Rose. Just squeezing through and getting to a very dangerous second. A length and a half, Bandari. Then Woodside Cruiser, a break to in their honour. And at the end of the field, Temper Trap, Jenna and Bandari. Ayla Rose serves it up to Ashley Hook, and they're locking horns as they turn. Bandari, Woodside Cruiser head the rest. It's Ayla Rose. She's edging to the lead, and the favourite just does enough to win it. Ayla Rose got there when it mattered by a neck over Ashley Hook. 3rd, Bandari. 4th, Woodside Cruiser, then Springview Noah. He closed it off late, clear from Temper Trap in their honour. And one of the last in was Jenna. Favourite does enough in 24 and 60. So Ayla Rose, number 5 for the Signals, who rack up a training double, has just done enough to edge out the 2, Ashley Hook, who was refusing to give up. Kept on finding down near the inside. They had a great tussle throughout, but the class prevails at the end. Number 5, Ayla Rose, she got away cleanly. Straight up to 2nd on the back of the tempo, and from there she's been too good. Daughter of Shimmer Shine, Chantal Rose. Jeff Schicknell at Rosedale prepares, beating number 2 second. Ashley Hook, Charlie Galea. Fernando Bale, Gallister Hook, and the 8 was 3rd, Bandari. Fernando Bale, Mombasa for P. Fiskey and John Musselwhite. So interim number.
So details there of 5, 2, 8 and 7. Number 5, Ayla Rose is the winner at $3.30 and $1.50. Number 2, Ashley Hook at $1.40. 8 Bandari, $1.50, and 7 Woodside Cruiser. 5, 2, 8, 7. The Quinella, $3.90. Exacta, $6.80. Trifecta paid $27. First 4 still coming. The running double 6 and 5, $21 at sale. 5, 2, 8 and 7. I'll let you know when there's a first 4 in there, boys. Not there yet.
Thank you, Sir John
Here it
Henry.
is.
Another message has come in. Do you want to hit me with the totes?
$156 for the first 4.
Another text message has come in. Thanks, guys. Last week, Lakeview Emily at the Meadows on Friday night, and Tim Zoo. So seeing them like beach balls, you are, Human Dynamo?
No, not really. Look, we thought Tim Zoo was a touch short, but we tipped him, didn't we? Because he just... He was
still better than Eva Money.
Yeah, he was. Lakeview Emily was impressive, wasn't she? She just... I think I tweeted something. When she gets it right, Jace, she's just one of the fastest dogs around the Meadows. Like, she just really rockets, and all her splits are really, really good. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting 48 hours ahead of some Phoenix decisions.
Yep, indeed. And she's engaged at Sandown tomorrow night as well in the free-for-all. So we'll see what Lakeview Emily serves up there. Did you have a bet last Saturday night, George, at all?
Yeah, I did.
How'd you fare?
I did. Well, Tim Zoo was a bigger bet of mine, and I had something on Ella's Babe, as I said I would, and obviously that didn't go too well. So, Yeah, she's just not racing well at the moment, is she? No.
Just seems to be finding trouble consistently.
Yeah, got too far back and leaders were off and gone. I expected her to be a little bit closer, but it'll be interesting next couple of months for her because she looked like she had the world at her feet for the staying ranks, especially with her last 100 metres. I think some of the race data you pulled out, Jason, showed how elite she could be, so hopefully she can get back to that.
Yeah, her run-home times and last 100 metres are still really strong.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's off the boil from a physical point of view, at least. Speaking of betting on Saturday night on Melbourne Cup nights, I can report that the meeting was the 6th highest ever for a Victorian greyhound meeting, and the race itself, the Melbourne Cup's 3rd highest.
That's
from
really
an
good
individual race, only behind the 2020 and 2021 Melbourne Cups. So for a year outside of the heights that we saw during that COVID period, I mean, that's got to be very encouraging.
That's
for the
fantastic. It's been no secret that turnover across all 3 codes has been on the nose a little bit lately. So to have it sort of have a bit of a bump now is absolutely fantastic. So hopefully that continues, Jace. And look, we've got some big races coming up. We've got a Brisbane Carnival and then straight into the Australian Cup Carnival. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, indeed, hopefully. And I think what's most encouraging about it is, George, that's Melbourne Cup hold itself on the race. People acknowledging good dogs, knowing them when they go around, and we do see these spikes as time goes on that people are connecting to the big names and knowing what's good instead of just looking at it and thinking it's another race. So that is such an important trend for the sport to be going in.
Yeah, it is. And we've got probably the biggest race meeting in Australia coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So, I mean, as I said, I kept mentioning it. Last year's Phoenix, the atmosphere was unbelievable. Let's hope the weather gods play nice. Because I reckon we're going to get one hell of a crowd out there.
Yeah, it is. Greyhound Racing's the biggest party. There's no two ways about that. If you're keen to head along to the Phoenix, and for more information, head to dreamchasersfestival.com.au. And of course, it is on Saturday, December the 21st at the Meadows. And speaking of that, George, has been a lot of talk and news in the past week about how this field looks at the moment and how it's going to look come the close of nominations Friday week. So the picture as it stands now, we've got Aaron Bain Racing and Summit Bloodstock as slot holders. They've got Excavation. Australian Bloodstock 2 days ago announced Smooth Plain. Awesome Lodge being the slot led by Jason Thompson, of course, has aligned with Explicit. Melbourne Storm has rinsed a lot. I understand he did trial very well at the Meadows recently, so although he hasn't been racing, he's got his eye well and truly on being cherry ripe for this Phoenix. Sportsbet announced Big Energy last Friday, Racing Queensland. We know they've got an event tomorrow night at Albion Park called The Flame, where the winner of that will represent their slot in the Phoenix. Total Container Solutions. I know they're doing some internal voting at the moment. They've got their favourites.
Is that what they're calling it this year? Internal voting?
Well, that's what it is. That's what they do. There's a big group of them and they put down their Brownlow votes, so to speak, and they've got a couple of favourites, but they're not going to pull the trigger yet. Wait and see what happens over the weekends. Laurel Seats tomorrow night, Silver Chief Eats on Saturday night, but we do know there is connections to greyhounds like Blue Camaro within that Tonal Container Solutions group. So we'll see what plays out there. And in terms of Ladbrokes, George, who are one of the last as well to announce their runners, I understand they're getting quite close without giving too much away from your point of view.
Yeah, can't give too much away, but they are getting close, and I think an announcement will be pending quite soon. So, looking forward to that. People with higher pay grades making that decision, Jason. I just sit back in the background and we'll be upstairs with Ladbrokes on Phoenix night, so looking forward to it.
Do you think there's not enough looking outside the square when it comes to selecting a greyhound for the Phoenix?
No, I think people can be a little bit crafty. Once it's all the field's all set and done, I'd probably have one or two greyhounds that I would have thought might have got in that didn't, but it's just the way it is. Yeah, I am very happy about Smooth Plain though. Don't get me wrong. Were you surprised with the $4.95 because you did? Mention...
yeah. I mean, to me, I love Smooth Plain, but he's not a greyhound who's going to do that next week.
No. If you had a tip right now, Jace, would it be Explicit or Excavation or one of those? Or?
Yeah, probably Explicit. I mean, box draw is pretty crucial to ones like Big Energy. Rinsed a lot. Historically doesn't step that well. Smooth Plain's not one that gets out traditionally like he did at Sandown on Saturday night. So probably Explicit. But I mean, I'd be looking at other types. Like, I love what Epitomise is doing at the moment. Just that brutal speed. I don't know. The the criticism about him is that he's a young dog going to a race of significant pressure. I mean, he was right on the mark on Saturday night. He did want to shift off, but I think he was forced to shift off.
Yeah.
I don't think he just thought, this is too hard, I'm going to shift off the track.
Put a line through that run.
Yeah.
Just the way it is now, it's not fully constructed. I think if either Explicit or Excavation draw 1 or 2 or one of them, they're going to be unbelievably hard to beat.
Yeah.
So this box draw, as is always the case with Phoenix, is a very, very important. But those greyhounds, the way they're racing, they'll be tough.
Yeah, another one I quite like is Miss Envy. I mean, she was really good on Saturday night, running third in the Melbourne Cup, and she's got great ability. But what I love about her, George, is that she handles herself so well in her field. Even though she's of limited experience, she just puts herself in great positions, and I think that just be such great tools to have in a Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely.
So she goes around from box 1 in a heat of the Laurels tomorrow night at Sandown, and I wouldn't be stunned at all if she led and went 29-10, and then all of a sudden back on the agenda for Total Container Solutions, possibly, given they're yet to make their decision, and we'll do sometime next week. But speaking of contenders who have been spoken about, George, and I think your camp as well in Ladbrokes were circling around this boy at some point and at least giving him consideration going into a Phoenix. Of course, I speak of Hector Fawley, who finished down the track in the John Dillon at Sandown on Saturday night. What's next for him? Let's find out. Lisa Cockrell, his co-trainer, joins us on the line. Lisa, welcome in. Great to have you part of Grey Areas. And I guess, firstly, how's he come out of Saturday night?
Yeah, he's quite good, actually. Thanks for having me on the show. He's pulled up really well. It was a bit hard how to judge, I think, on Saturday night, but I think once he copped that check early on and then another one, when they're running 33.66, he's just not going to get there from behind. So he's pulled up well, he's full of himself, so yeah, moving forward, as they say.
Lisa, we had hubby Ian on, I'd say about a month ago, talking about what the future holds. Obviously, there's a stud career beckoning. What's the current status right now for us going forward?
Yeah, so right now he is not in the Phoenix, obviously. Ladbrokes have chosen, and they were sort of our only hope, I think. So we have decided, due to popular demand, to draw some straws from him. So, have some limited straws available and then look at maybe Brisbane Carnival start of the year. And just see where he's at. I don't feel he's ready to retire yet. He's still painful when we take other dogs out. So, while he wants to go and he's enjoying it, we're enjoying the ride with him, obviously. So, that's sort of the plans, the loose plans.
So just to make it clear, Lisa, he's not retiring and doesn't seem to be at least having immediate plans for that. This is purely just a toe in the water from a stud point of view to get a feel for what the demand's like, and if it isn't through the roof, then you'll continue the race.
Yeah, that's it. We've been hounded about getting straws from him, and we said, you know what? There's this funny, gap in the racing calendar where we could actually get some straws and, just try and get some pups on the ground with him.
Lise, when just for the layman term out there, when do you expect some semen to be available? Because just in case people don't know, it's not as simple as saying, "Yep, let's go, let's get it moving straight away." When do you expect the first shipment to be available?
Yeah, so he'll be going off next week. He's already been DNA tested. He will be going off next week to get it evaluated. And then from there, so, hopefully in the next fortnight, there'll be straws available.
Oh, beautiful. And you talk about the gap in the racing calendar, but then it really starts to heat up again. So after a little spell, and if you go to Queensland, obviously the Australian Cup Carnival's just around the corner. I mean, is that if he's still racing well, I mean, it's there for the taking, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Anything is possible with this boy. Like, he's just a phenomenal chaser and hardy as all, as the next dog sort of thing. So while he's sound, just keep it rolling. It's, one of those things you'd love a fairy tale to finish on a absolute high, but then you go back through with what he's done and do you push on or not? But why not? You know, we might not ever get a Hector Foley again. So while we're enjoying it, keep going.
And he is in the Sale Cup market, Lisa. Is that a bit of a stretch and too soon to say he's a Sale Cup contender?
I would say yes, bit much of a stretch. Not 100% out of the question, but yes, at this stage.
All right, so possibly unlikely to race again for the year, which is only a few weeks, and things go by at the blink of an eye, as we know. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us here on Grey Areas. Great to get the news on your boy Stanley, as you like to call him, and fingers crossed, at least from our greedy racing fan lens on, we get to see him go to Brisbane in the new year. Good luck.
Great, thank you.
Lisa Cockerell there. Yeah, look, from a selfish point of view, we want to see him sort of at least have a bit of a swan song where we get to see his best. He's sort of been seemingly a little bit below his best, and we say that, and he still ran 29.17 in that shootout chase. So, I mean, you know, there's not too many people that have greyhounds that quick. So the interesting part of it is that Explicit and obviously Hector Foley are both by Bernardo. So it'll be interesting to see the popularity of both when they do go to stud.
Yeah, 100%. So we need to start wrapping up this show, or we're going to get a clip on the ear from John Henry. But before we get to your tips, Georgie, a lot of our Victorian superstars are down in the Apple Isle in Tasmania for Heats of the Hobart 1000, the likes of Pass the Buck, Vincent Bale, Flying Zulu, Hotel Whiskey One, Matt Locke, I think unofficially, don't take this as fact, but unofficially could be scratched. But it's a great series as always.
Yeah, it is. Some very, very, very talented greyhounds. Good to see Pastor Buck in a race drawn box 1. Hotel Whiskey 1 is the favourite. That's one of the better heats, Jason, isn't it? Hotel Whiskey 1, Mile a Minute, Fernando Phil. That's a great little
Belter.
heat. Couple of good local greyhounds as well, and one that started his career or spent a majority of his career in Victoria, Bernie Burrow, who's the favourite in the first heat at $1.80.
Yep. Your tips, hit us with what you've got.
Yeah, look, markets aren't out yet, so I expect this greyhound to be short, but it should be winning. Race 1, number 1, Extreme Wheels, who ran third in that maiden final, drawn well, looks to have a nice future. Race 1, number 1, tomorrow at Sandown. I do like in one of the Laurels heats, race 6, number 1, Flying Dinar. Very good record off inside draws, Jason. Solid win last start at the Meadows, and I think it'll just sit close enough and be hard to hold out. And the other greyhound I like, and I'm hoping that we can get some value because I think its runs have been better than its recent form, is race 10, number 4, Fernando Duke. Good win at the Meadows, at Bendigo 3 starts ago. On pace runner. I think it's drawn better after 2 box 8 runs at the Meadows. Comes back a little bit closer in box 4. I know it's over the 5.15, but I think he's talented enough to win this race 10, number 4.
And last week you gave a plug to the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Now I still haven't come up for a name for this ankle leg. So if anyone wants to chime in through the text machine with a suggestion for that, 0416 90 50 52. So what the aim of the game is, Georgie's obviously got his normal set of tips. I want something from so left field, whether it is, I don't know, under 21s table tennis in Korea or something like that.
I'm not going that left
not
field.
Going that far?
No. I'll stick with some American sports. And let's see
well, you
how
had
we
the Denver Broncos last Friday. They saluted yesterday.
We're on the Green Bay Packers tomorrow. Friday, Jace. At the line, plus 3.5. Green Bay Packers. Okay, so get on to those. And you know what? They have absolutely been thrown through the ringer, the Australian cricket team. So I'm backing up, Jace. They're about $1.90, and I reckon they'll bounce back and win the Adelaide Test.
So they will handle a fast ball that's moving an inch? Is that what you're saying?
They copped it. Goodness gracious me. I think they'll bounce back. What
with
do you
the
reckon?
Pink pill as well in Adelaide?
Yeah, they go good with the pink pill. That's why I
geez.
tipped them at Optus.
Watch out for Jasper.
Optus, they were 4 for 4, and then they come out and gave us that.
Yep.
So Green Bay Packers plus 3.5 tomorrow.
All right, so I've got a multi as well, believe it or not.
What are we on?
So let's throw the Packers into that. Now, I can't bet, so for anyone who wants to just bloody hand me some joy or something, not financially. 2 heats of the Laurels tomorrow night at Sandown. Race 4, number 1, Miss Envy. Into race 3, number 1, La Sagrada. We'll then go to Hobart with heats of the 1,000. Race 4, number 7, Vincent Bale. Race 9, number 3, Flying Zulu. So that's just short of $10. What price are the Packers?
Well, if we take him at the line, you get $1.95.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's creeping up.
That's really going to creep up now. Miss Envy's at around $1.55.
Yeah, something like that.
Surprised by that? I mean, it's a good heat. Don't get me wrong. There's some talent in that race, but I thought she'd be even shorter. So
she's been to Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, far harder races than what she's in. She should just win easily and win in fast time.
Great frequent flyer points for Miss Envy at the moment.
Yeah, they don't miss the Western Australians, do they? Steve Shinners, Steve Withers over the years.
Well, they've come here with success, yeah.
They're good with the away shorts on, particularly after midnight.
Tommy Shelby, what a star he was.
Okay, race 6 at Sales coming up. That's a wrap for us. We'll be back on Friday, of course, from midday, where we will have more Phoenix information. I guarantee you that. And there should only be one spot remaining by then, which of course belongs to Total Container Solutions. But we'll chat more about that on Friday and of course review what is a big night of racing tomorrow night in Victoria with the Laurel Seats at Sandown and also heats of the Hobart 1000 down there in Tassie, and Fields will be out for the Meadows on Saturday night with heats of the Silver Chief. Looking forward to all of that. In the meantime, here's race 6 at Sale with James.
And Velox Bale's been consistent. So Whisper Pie's a big price too. It was a good win up the straight last time, wearing down Raging Elsa. It's a $51 shot, drawn for a beautiful run off the inside behind the two speed runners in 2 and 3. They're moving in. We'll see how it plays out. Race 6, $1.80 for Dragon L to run the short price select. And just like that, they're set to